It is the argument on the negative that a plan based on fear and one that is unclear and/or unprepared is one that is destined to fail. I'm first going to go into topicality, also known as a definition dispute, for arguing on why I believe that my opponent's case is one that is fear-mongering and one that is unprepared, and finally, I will offer my own disadvantage as to why I believe this plan would fail. Well, going first into topicality, I want to focus on the word failsafe, which my opponent used as kind of a last-ditch effort to jump to the moon in a way to escape Earth's woes, in a sense. Well, according to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary's definition, a failsafe is something that causes a mechanism to revert to a safe condition in the event of a breakdown, which, speaking in terms of Earth, would mean that we would be jumping to the moon and kind of escaping from Earth as a way to let it restart, when doing so speaks of the Earth as, or speaks of our planet, as unfixable, which is pretty clearly stated in my opponent's case, with the terms earthquake, global warming, asteroids, to war, conflict, to name just a few things that were wrong with our planet. Well, first, subpoint A, going into the earthquakes. They said the number of earthquakes in the world is rising year by year, when actually that is a false statement, as the number of earthquakes not only in the US but worldwide has been going on a downward spiral within the last few years or so. So that the whole statement in general that there could be an earthquake soon, a detrimental superquake soon, well, honestly, there could be a lot of things that could happen today, could happen tomorrow, could happen anytime. So that's kind of a vague statement to say in general. Going to point B, global warming. My opponent stated that global warming is continuing to be an issue, which that is a true statement. We're still trying to figure out exactly how to work with global warming and fix our planet in that sense. But what my opponent did fail to mention, though, was that it will take over 100 years for the Earth's temperature to increase by just 1%. So in other words, we have time. We have time to figure that out, and we should probably be figuring that out before we decide to kind of jump off to the moon. Subpoint C, the statements made on war and nuclear war. Well, again, my opponent stated that an accidental nuclear launch could happen in the same way that that superquake could be happening, when in this case, more than the other one, it's something that in the 50 plus years of our nuclear history, there's never been an accidental launch, there's never been any sort of accidental attack in a nuclear sense. There have been some nuclear reactors that have obviously had their fair share of accidents, but nothing that could be seen in a way that would cause the Earth to, or life itself to cease existing. They also mentioned that a war could destroy the world at any moment, when, again, the war trend, similar to the earthquake trend, has been decreasing and has been on a downward spiral in this last decade. This last decade actually has had the least amount of wars, and I don't think it was the last 10 or so decades. If you compare them back to back, our current decade that we're in, there's have been the least amount of conflicts, which in my eyes seems like a good thing. So that doesn't really seem like a reason to want to jump ship and just escape off to the moon. Well, going into the refutation portion of my argument, they said that we could use NASA's inventions to develop a moon colony, such as a biodome or any sort of artificial life on the moon. But we failed miserably just trying to create a biosphere or a biodome just on the Earth in the Arizona desert, also known as Biosphere 2. It was an experiment back in the 90s that it was actually two experiments where scientists tried to create an artificial Earth inside of this mechanism called the biodome, or biosphere, I believe, which both times that the scientists tried this, they couldn't balance all the different points and all the different aspects of life to even create a working atmosphere, which resulted in pretty much all of the plant life and animal life dying there, and even the scientists themselves needing to call outside help to pump oxygen into the biodome because they were running out of the supply that they needed just to survive. So that wasn't really that great of a thing. And because of this, How could we possibly expect to create that kind of environment on the moon when we failed miserably just trying to do it on Earth anytime in the near future? It just seems all real far-fetched. Therefore, this plan cannot succeed as it is fear-mongering with no set plan at all. It's all just a lot of talk, but not necessarily giving action to these words. Going finally into a disadvantage, what my main point is, what if when we go to the moon, it quickly becomes Earth 2.0 as far as the problem aspects of it goes? What if we bring Earth problems onto the moon? Subpoint A, the uniqueness. Different nations all around the world, we're all trying to get to the moon. This is the new space race. But my question is, once we get there, what exactly would we do? Like, the moon is an open slate. How would we say, okay, this portion belongs to me, while this portion belongs to you? Subpoint B, the link. They said that we could colonize the moon, but who exactly gets to create these lines and gets to create the boundaries of what part's mine, what part's yours, what part's that person's? Who's the one that gets to say this, and how do they get that power? Subpoint C, the internal link. The current plan that they mentioned lacks direction and is dangerous if it were to be in the wrong hands. What if it was a tyrant that suddenly gets to decide, oh, I want to keep this, I want all of that, this is mine, that's all? What if they're the ones to get there first? What if they claim it? Then who's to say that they can't, and who's to say they can? Who can really say anything? It's space. It belongs to the Earth. Subpoint D, the impact. This could result in us destroying the moon, not only politically and physically, but just any chance that we have of developing it and doing anything else. If it got into the wrong person's power, if the wrong person got into power and they suddenly destroyed that chance that we had the moon, then that sets us back as a human race exponentially, as the moon was, as my opponent said, our platform into space. So without that clear plan, and the moon suddenly is no longer an option, where's the next point that we go from there? Obviously, we need to fix the problems on Earth before we attempt anything at all to expand further on. And when we do expand further on, it can't be based on fear, and it must have a solid and clear set plan.